Hello everyone. Yes, I decided not for selfishness. I just try to prove my moral and my spiritual, viewpoint of the physiology of the mind, how I'm fresh and how I live in Calgary and Alberta. And right now I'm on 17th Avenue, in front of the school, which is here in a high school, and we want to continue on a Descartes, but when we emphasize on evolution of the culture, say the fundamental of the Cartesian, the Descartes is based on Aristotle. So no way for me, if you want to you say the theoretical name of the Aristotle, you have to have a function, an action. So I have to reopen and reread and get back to the Aristotle and continue on Aristotle and then continue on a Descartes for this purpose. So let me, for by this aspiration, I started some part of the Aristotle context, and I want to read for you as in my note, as in my resonate, as in my deduction and inference on this part of the context. First of all, let's see, get back to this biography of the Aristotle, who suffered from the martyr of the Socrates and some metaphysical point of the Plato, and tried to make a new instrument to find the reality by rationalism and sagacity and wisdom by reality and the science, biology or mathematics, algebra, trigonometry, or everything which their grandfather before Socrates, like Pythagoras, Herodotus, as a historian who recorded all the Heraclius and other scientists' knowledge on this point. Let's see, continue on this force when I took a note. Henceforth, we desire to know by our nature, by all senses, to observe the view or objectivity or subjectivity in any way, to use our senses and bring light to many differences among things. Human can hear from infantry and memorize, but ape cannot remember, and B has an organized instinct society. Animal like a lion, does they have memory of their hunting as an experiment, whereas merely human sapiens has a reason and rational. Science and art come to man by experiment, which means expert in senses for several times to success for action or finding truth, judgment in illness, or for right in citizenry. As Socrates said, in illness you need evidence in laboratory, for a trials in court as well. In lab, several times exams, and in court, several sessions to adjourn your senses by your experiment to right understanding, by helping your intuition and cognition. In point of view of Aristotle, disease has a certain constitution, but court is individual matter and need more elaborate experience, at which judge should use algebra, trigonometry, arithmetic, geometry, physics, chemistry, and biology by intuition with cognition together, which is defined as an experiment more carefully than some disease like tuberculosis, smallpox, syphilis, hepatitis, sugar blood by the insulins, or HIV, and now corona. So experience means here to do action and not theory, because any individual has a special condition. An experiment is knowledge of this art, like a mechanic without observation put inside hands into parts and by touching bolt and nut to change the parts, like a blind people, as art of function. So physician by just theory cannot cure patients. So law school of judge needs new curriculum of Aristotle to awaken consciousness and elevation of criteria of judgment. This is take some parts of the Aristotle. This is the first part. But in pragmatism, a new method in 22nd century by war in the terrorism, religious, and right now in European by Ukraine and Russia, we going to the second part, which is it's called new pragmatism, existentialism, philosophy of inference and deduction. So this is the second part. So Aristotle invented new instruments and modes of inquiry for reality by questioning, codifying, and rationalizing what the sum of the human knowledge. He worked within severe limitation. He was an astronomer without telescope, a biologist without microscope and laboratory, a physiologist without apparatus. This is a part of the introduction with the Justin Ross in a translated of the Aristotle set. So I just make a his note, and I just want to make a note. This is belong to him. A natural historian who had to rely for his data partly on a heresy and the tradition. On his advisory, okay, now this is my note starting. On his advisory for Alexandra of Macedonia or Greece, by finally and eventually treason of Sparta to come back from India to Greece. He did this advice or not, but Aristotle devoted his life on a phenomena in historical and causal perspective. He worked on a comparative governments and to analyze the life history of an situation. Jean-Paul Sartre is supported separatist of the Quebec. It was valid or not. Aristotle is said the advice to the Alexander Great to attack, it was valid or not. Or Michael Foucault, who said the Iranian Revolution is great because remind me the French Revolution, or might be the Russia one, is it valid or not? So give me right to renounce my Iranian passport for philosophy of migration and to stop inferior Iranian culture despite holding Farsi language, unlike the Babylonian towards Egypt, who unlike the French Revolution or even Russian one, back to Crusade era and epic of Vatican to punish Galileo's son, who is Hamish at Calgary, and to start new bastard religion war in Ukraine and Russia by commencing of religious terrorism on the ranch of Texas, or Wall Street stock market New York by name of the Jefferson, who studied Harvard Law School. So curriculum of law school from there to Osgood of York University would be in question. So Aristotle is the first one, and who want to be law teacher wants to know that Aristotle has no metaphysic. So Aristotle's biography is by Socrates' tragedy, by his martyr, and which is the redundancy of Abraham, who put the knife on his son's throat for ordeal of God to his satisfaction. So Aristotle is a salvage of a school in Demetrius in atomic quantum, or Herodotus historical phenomena to record of this all reality, from Heraclius to Pythagorean of right triangle and correctness, the metaphysics of Plato to support happiness of Epicureanism. Instead of Stoicism, so to support the Epicurean instead of Stoicism in Epictetus, to which culminated to hierarchy of scavenger cynicism of society, namely religion, by language of nationalist fascism in Hitler, and then culture, which all in nature, but in phenomena is namely battle and adversary. Thus, Michael Foucault made an invalid comment on Iranian revolution as Iranians saw Khomeini facet in the moon, like Jean Chrétien saw the picture of the blonde French girls of the Quebec in Roman Catholic of Irish, Italy, or Portuguese, when realized is invalid, then looking the picture of the moon in Mississauga, the mayor of Mississauga. So, Hamish and Jean Chrétien did invalid comments because we are part of the reality and part of the philosophy and justice and part of the world. We are not part of the metaphysics, which God never has error and fallacy. Thank you very much.